Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. Week 1 of the NFL season has concluded. It feels so good to have football back, and it also feels good to bring back my weekly power rankings. Now, the criteria of this week's power rankings, I'm not going to be doing these overreactions as a lot of premium national audiences are doing. My criteria is A, what did I expect from them coming into the season? How did I think they looked in week 1? How do I think they will look going forward? All those things will be my criteria. I'm not going to be overreacting to everything I've seen because it's only week 1, for Christ's sake. A lot of teams in week 1 don't look the same come week 7, week 8. So we're going to take that into account, and we're going to give our power rankings after this week 1 of NFL football. But before I get into that, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as it always helps this channel to continue to grow. And if you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that sub button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But let's get into these week 1 power rankings. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, so we have the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if you guys watch this channel, I said that this was a team that was going to be in trouble going into week 1 and the rest of the season. And how they looked week 1 against Kansas City, they didn't really look too good. Kyler Murray struggled, to say the least. This defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I'm going to put the Cardinals, they still have a good football team. I still see them having some success. I'm going to put them at a B. Now, they could drop lower, as I think I could expect them to do. But for now, I still think they're going to be solid. But I can see a world where this team drops. The Atlanta Falcons, once again, blew another lead. What else is new? And they had chances to win that football game against the Saints, and they absolutely blew it. But this Falcons team is not very good coming into the year, and I still don't think they'll be very good going forward. They looked solid at points in week 1. Mariota, he had some moments. Cordell Patterson, who I still wish was with the Bears, played solid. That defense let it up down the stretch. So I'm going to give the Falcons a C. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens, a team I think that was going to elevate going into this year. They're getting a lot of guys back. Dobbins, even though he's still a little bit hurt. Lamar Jackson looked crazy. Rashad Bateman played well. Loss of Hollywood Brown didn't really hurt them in this game, particularly because it was against the Jets. But I'm going to give the Ravens at the A grade. Still a very good football team. I'm still waiting to see how everything matriculates itself down forward during the road in the season. But I'm going to put the Baltimore Ravens at an A. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills. You guys know how high I am on this Bills team. And they looked absolutely dominant against the defending Super Bowl champion Rams on Thursday night. They looked dominant. They look like the dominant team that I predicted them to be, that I expect them to be. Von Miller had a crazy game. Josh Allen, absolutely sensational and proving himself of why I put him as the MVP of this year. Josh Allen and this Bills team, I think, is special. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers, who kind of shot themselves in the foot against Cleveland. Coming into this year, I didn't think this Carolina Panthers team would be bad. I didn't expect them to be great either. Baker Mayfield, I did expect them to be an upgrade over what they had at quarterback, and I still believe that. But for the sake of this, I'm going to put the Carolina Panthers at C. They still have some room to grow, but offensively, I think they still have some pieces. Defensively as well, with Brian Burns, they still have pieces. We're going to go into my Chicago Bears next. The first half looked totally ugly. Let's just be honest. From the offensive side, the first half looked totally ugly. But they picked it up in the second half. The hits mentality that Eberflus has been preaching is, I think, the reason that they won this game, because of their fight, their other worlds, to play smart, their competitiveness. But for this Bears team, I'm going to put them at a B. It's going to be crazy. People think, oh, you're biased towards your team. No. I see building blocks of the Chicago Bears team going forward. I was waiting to week 1 to see how everything would feel. Offensively, like I said, they still need work. Offensive line still needs some work. But they were going up against the San Francisco 49er front. That was one of the best fronts that we have in football. But they adjusted. They stayed in the game. They fought. And they ended up pulling out a victory. And I think this defense for the Bears is going to be a very good defense. It's going to be a very good defense. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow looked bad. He looked bad. 4 turnovers, pick 6. He still threw for over 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Defensively, the Bengals are kind of right where I thought they would be. They're not spectacular, but they're not bad either. But going into this, going forward, I still have the Bengals at an A. I still have the Bengals at an A. I think they will correct those mistakes. Joe Burrow, I think a lot of that was the jitters and the nerves and living up to some expectations, but I still believe this Bengals team is an A. Criticize me all you want, I still believe it's an A. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to put the Cleveland Browns at a B. They played solid against Carolina. They almost blew the game, to be honest, but Jacoby Brissett looks solid. Offensively, Nick Chubb really didn't have that big of an impact. Kareem Hunt was very solid for them, and that, I believe, is why they're the best running back duo. Defensively, they were able to do some things against the Carolina Panthers offense. The Browns are going to have it a B. Dallas Cowboys, the only team in the NFL to not score a touchdown in week 1. Dak Prescott's hurt. This offensive line is hurt. I'm going to put the Cowboys at a C. I don't really see this team getting that much better going forward now that Dak Prescott has thumb surgery. I just don't see this team getting be so much better. Don't see it. Next, we have the Denver Broncos. Their problem is red zone. Red zone is their problem. They were unable to capitalize in the red zone. And if they were able to capitalize in the red zone, I think they really win that game last night. They really win that game Monday night against Seattle. If they were able to capitalize, not turn the football over, not have a lot of penalties, but just for the sake of what I think they could be, I still think I have a lot of growing to do. But I'm going to put them at a B. I still believe this team has room to grow. They're not all the way there yet, but I'm going to put them at a B. They didn't look great last night. They really didn't, especially in the red zone. But I think they'll, over time, will get those mistakes corrected, and I think they will be better off for it, losing this game in week 1. Some losses aren't bad losses, or some losses, I think they will learn from this and they will get better, and I'm going to leave them at a B. Detroit Lions, another sleeper team I think headed into this year. They improved a lot. Jared Goff had his moments, has had his bad moments. Defensively, they didn't look great at all. I'm going to put them at a C. I still believe in this Detroit Lions team fight. They fight hard every week. And that's going to get you somewhere, especially with a young team that is building. I still put them at a C. Next, we have the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm going to drop this team a grade. I probably would have put them at an A if they would have won, or maybe S. But I'm going to put them at a B. The Devontae Adams loss hurt this Packers team more than what I thought it would hurt. It hurt a lot more than what I thought it would hurt. This defense, they let Justin Jefferson run absolutely free. They let him run free on them. Kirk Cousins, they were getting an MVP chance, for Christ's sake, for Kirk Cousins. That defense did not look good. The offense didn't look that much better either. I'm going to put Green Bay at a B. Not just because I'm a Bear fan. It was because of what I saw and how they looked. They did not look great. And the Devontae Adams loss hurts. Next, we're going to have the Houston Texans. I'm going to put them at a D. How do you tie? A tie. Matter of fact, just for the sake of a tie, I'm going to put the coach down there too. You can't ties. Like one of my high school coaches used to say, it's like kissing your sister. A tie. A tie. Jonathan Taylor, he carried my fantasy team. I will not lie. But a tie. That's why I'm going to put the Texans and the Colts at the D. A tie. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still a team in rebuilding mode. Still a team that has a lot to do. I am going to put I think I'm gonna put them at the level. The AFC South is not a good division at all. The AFC South division is not a good division at all. It's not. It's really not a good division at all. Next, we're gonna have the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm gonna put them at an S. People are going to say to me, I hate the Chiefs because of the way I believe in them. I'm going to put them at an S. One of the Super Bowl contenders. Offensively, they proved themselves that Tyreek Hill, yeah, he's still a factor. They miss it, but their offense was still clicking. Next, we're going to have the Los Angeles Chargers, who played the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm a big believer in this Chargers team, but I just think they need a little bit more work offensively. Just a tiny bit more. You know what? I'm going to flip this. No, I'm not. I'm going to say it as it is. I'm going to have the Chargers in the A tier. I'm going to have the Chiefs at an S until something proves me otherwise. And I think that defense will change it. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. The Rams look bad. And actually, Stafford looked bad. Defensively, that Von Miller loss hurt. Odell Beckham not being in the lineup hurt. Allen Robinson had not much impact at all. Robert Woods, even though he was hurt last year, is gone. They did not run the football, which I always criticize Sean McVay of getting away from the running game. But the potential that this team still has, the potential that they still have to be Super Bowl contenders, I'm going to leave them at an A. I'm going to leave them at an A for this moment. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, and they had some moments. Derek Carr didn't look necessarily great. The Devontae Adams trade proved otherworldly to help them. Defensively, I think that was going to be one of the weaker parts of this Raider defense, was the corners and their secondary, and it didn't look necessarily great against the Chargers. I'm going to put them at the B tier. Next, we have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, defensively, they were able to do a lot of things, create some turnovers, bat some passes. I'm going to put the Miami Dolphins. I'm struggling between A and B for the Dolphins. But I'm going to put them at a B for the moment. Tua, I still think he needs a little bit more work. The running game, they need to be a little bit better. Defensively, I like where this Dolphins team is. But offensively, I think they need just a little bit more continuity. And I think that will help over time. Next is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to have to put them at an A. It's crazy for me to do this because of the history of Minnesota and the way they kind of let down expectations. But offensively, they looked extremely well against the Packers defense that is not a bad defense at all. Defensively, they were able to do a lot against Aaron Rodgers. They were able to slow down that Packers offense, slow down their running game. Even though the receivers of the Packers are not great, the Vikings did a job. They did a job against Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to put them at an A. Next, we have the New England Patriots. They did not look good at all. Offensively, they did not look good at all. They didn't look good. And I didn't expect that coming from a Bill Belichick coach team. They did not look good at all. So I'm going to put them at the C tier. Next, we're going to have the New Orleans Saints, the comeback win over the Falcons. I'm going to put them at B. Jameis Winston had some moments. Michael Thomas came back and played very well. Defensively, they got to shore up and clean up some things on the defensive side of the ball, letting Atlanta score as many points as they did. But I am going to put the Saints at a B tier. They still have potential to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Next is the New York Giants. A very surprising win over the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, I had the Titans winning that game. I didn't see Daniel Jones doing too much. And he still is not that great, in my opinion. Saquon Barkley came back and had a very good game. He also carried my fantasy team. I still don't think this Giants team has high expectations. I didn't expect much coming from them in this year. They had some moments against the Titans, but I still don't believe in this Giants team, mainly because of Daniel Jones. I love what Brian Daboll was able to do offensively in the way he calls games, but I still don't have a big belief in this Giants team going forward. And this might be the only team that had a win that I put at the C. Next is the New York Jets. I still think they'll improve. Baltimore, I think, is in another class from them, and I think that's why that game showed as is. But I still think this Jets team is very much improved. They're still learning. They're still young. And they don't have Zach Wilson in the lineup. Joe Flacco was starting at quarterback due to the Zach Wilson injury. So I'm going to put them at a C. Philly. And struggling between A and B for Philly. And shout out to my boy Alcabil, the analyst. I'm going to put Philly. I'm struggling between this. But I'm going to put Philly at B. They let it out. Defensively, they did not keep their foot on the Lions' legs. And they let the Lions get right back in the game. Offensively, Jalen Hurts looked very good. A.J. Brown looked like a very smart pickup the way he played. And defensively, they lost Derek Barnett for the season, which hurts. And I still believe this Eagles team can win the NFC East. But I just think they need to shore up a few more things defensively, because they should have not let the Lions back in that game. Next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are also going to put at that B grade. Losing T.J. Watt does not hurt. Trubisky did not play bad. Trubisky let this team down a drive, and later in the overtime, they'll help them win that game. They were able to create takeaways from Joe Burrow. They were able to do a lot of things defensively to confuse that Cincinnati Bengals offense. And offensively, they did just enough to win the football game. Now, it's not an otherworldly offense. I don't think it will be. Offensive line is still a small question with the Steelers. But I'm going to put the Steelers at a B tier. I just think they need to shore up a little more offensively. Next is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to put them at a B right now. They looked very good last night. They looked good defensively. Geno Smith played a very good game, something I was not expecting at all. Even though I personally believe Geno Smith should have been a start over Drew Lock, and he proved why last night. They looked solid. Jamal Adams is probably going to be out for a significant amount of time, according to Pete Carroll. That's going to hurt. But that defense looked better than what I expected. That defense looked a lot better than what I expected. But the Broncos offense that has potential to score a lot of points. So I'm going to give Seattle Seahawks credit. I'm going to blip them at a B. I'm also going to put the San Francisco 49ers at a B. The Bears' opponents. That front seven is crazy good. Led by Bosa, led by Warner. That front seven is good. Offensively, they did lose Elijah Mitchell for a while. And I think he was out the second quarter of that game. And that really changed things. Offensively, that offensive line struggled outside of Trent Williams in that second half. And again, shout out to my boy Jay in the Bay, who I did a pregame live stream with before the game. He's a great content creator over there for the 49ers. And I will leave his link in the description. And I will remember this time. But 49ers, I still believe they have some good expectations. Trey Lance did not play very well, especially in that second half. I'm not going to blame the conditions because the Bears had to play in those same conditions. So I'm not going to put so much weight on the conditions. But I still think this 49ers team will do some things going forward. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Bucks. They are a Super Bowl contender, and that defense looked extremely good against the Dallas Cowboys offense. Offensively, they still need to convert some of those drives into touchdowns. They kicked a ton of field goals, but I think that will come with more rhythm, even though Chris Godwin did suffer an injury, which is going to hurt. Julio Jones looked very solid in the Buccaneers offense, so I still think I'm going to put the Bucs in that S tier. Next is the Titans. They shouldn't have lost that game. They let it up against the Giants. I'm going to put the Titans at a C. That number one seed last year, I think, was more of a fluke than anything, just being in my opinion. Just honest. And the last team we have is the Washington Commanders. It still feels weird to say that. They are going to go in that B tier. They had a very good game against the Jacksonville Jaguars team. Carson Wentz played a lot better than what I would have expected out of him. That defense still has some work to do. They're still working to get Chase Young back. But I'm going to put the Washington Commanders at the B for right now. But here's my power rankings. And I know a lot of people are going to criticize me. And I would love to see what you guys think. So leave your thoughts in the comments. But as always, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.